Okay, now we're at the phase of this engine and getting it prepped. We're going to adjust the valve lash. This thing, it has solid lifters, and the valve lash is the distance between the roller fulcrum tip and the actual valve itself. It's up in there because these rockers push the valves open and close. Too much lash, this thing could float a valve. Too little lash in a valve could stay stuck open. So it's very important that you stay on top of these. And these don't have like a second locking mechanism. So they come loose like every run, so I have to check them. We're gonna start with this exhaust valve here. So to check the valve lash, I'm gonna turn the motor by hand, back here by the crank. We're gonna be watching this valve to open, and as it's closing, we'll know that this valve is all the way closed, and we can set the lash. So I'm turning the motor. First our exhaust valve went up and down. Now we're seeing our intake valve go down. And now it's starting to go up. Then, check right here. We take our feeler gauge and check it. Yes, this tiny feeler gauge gets inserted in, and the valve rocker nut gets tightened to the specs. Okay, so now I want to adjust this intake valve. What I'm going to do is watch for this intake valve to close all the way, meaning the rocker will come up. Then this exhaust valve will start opening. There it is closing. Now as we see the exhaust valve opening, now we know this rocker's on the heel of the cam, and you can see the rocker's slightly loose. That's where we have our lash. We're going to go in with our feeler gauge. Not the whole one. We're going to go in with our feeler gauge, measure, and adjust the nut accordingly. We're going to go all the way around, around the engine doing that with all cylinders. Now I know this engine really well, and sometimes this sounds kind of hokey, but if I want to do a quick valve check, I'll just run it through and jiggle each one, and I can tell if it's way out of whack or not. But every run I fine adjust it. But if I just want to check it, I spin the motor and check each one to make sure nothing's way out of whack. Valve covers are back on, and the valves are adjusted. Next matter at hand, this ignition. This is the glow plug ignition. This is where all the glow plugs go to. These are the igniters. It's got this Dean's plug on here. I'm going to be using this big 5000 3S oxidine pack. I'm going to put an EC8 on here. I like high spark ignition. I like hot. So we're going to have a really good connection between here and here. This big ass battery is going to be on here, and that's going to be for ignition. I want things hot. So cool. One of the caps that came on these water pumps I'm using here is a fuel cap. I was wanting a little fuel cap for this thing. Cool. Okay guys, now I have addressed the ignition. I wouldn't say issue, it ran just fine with the Dean's plug, but I've now put an EC8 on ignition, and as I said, this big 3S 5000 battery to run the spark, and that's going to be on board. Another really cool upgrade I've done is I switched this all to the Quasar radio. That way we have 9 channels, and I can do all kinds of stuff, all kinds of different ignitions and different things. Yeah, we got her on the good old Quasar. This is my personal one that I have a camera mount on. Yeah, we have the starter hooked up on this auxiliary button. And I have a few other things hooked up on switches. Stay tuned, because the very next episode, we are going to be running the V8.